Think about the device in your hand. Sleek, flawless glass, the result of decades spent refining chemical compositions and precision manufacturing. Now watch as that same level of coordination shatters, collapsing into a cloud of concrete dust in seconds. It raises a question about the patterns of human history. Can the trajectory of a civilization be mapped through the events of a single calendar date? Look at June 29th. Across the centuries, this specific 24-hour window reveals a consistent tension. On one end, sudden physical destruction that exposes the limits of our engineering. On the other, the introduction of systems that aggressively expand our reach. June 29th acts as a record of these competing forces, showing how we have gradually attempted to harden our physical world while accelerating our digital one. For most of our history, the scale of our ambitions was limited by the raw power of the environment. We built, and the Earth periodically reminded us that our structures were temporary. On June 29, 1170, a massive earthquake rippled across Syria. In an instant, the region's most advanced infrastructure, heavily fortified stone castles and massive cathedrals, was reduced to rubble. Centuries later, on June 29, 1915, the residents of Edmonton faced a different environmental force. The North Saskatchewan River rose to record heights, triggering a flood that swept through neighborhoods and dismantled the city's early industrial works. For generations, this date was a reminder of a defenseless relationship with nature, where our best attempts at permanence could be undone in a single afternoon. As we gained more control over our materials, the primary threat to our survival shifted from natural forces to our own oversight. On June 29, 1613, a theatrical cannon misfired during a performance, igniting the thatch roof and burning London's Globe Theatre to the ground. By the 1990s, the scale of these human-led failures grew alongside our urban density. In South Korea, rapid economic expansion had transformed Seoul into a city of massive, high-traffic commercial hubs. The Sampoom department store was a centerpiece of that growth, until June 29, 1995, when the 5-story structure suffered a total structural failure. 502 people died, making it the deadliest non-terrorist building collapse in modern history. The subsequent investigation found that management had ignored cracks in the ceiling and moved heavy industrial equipment across a roof that was never designed to hold it. They had prioritized floor space over the support columns required to keep the building standing. The scale of the disaster forced a pivot in South Korean policy. The government initiated a nationwide audit and a total overhaul of building safety codes, creating the strict engineering standards that define the country's modern skyline today. Once we establish the safety of our environments, we immediately look for ways to connect them. On June 29, 1956, President Dwight D. Eisenhower signed the Federal Aid Highway Act. This single signature launched the construction of 41,000 miles of roadway. It was a project that required moving millions of tons of earth and laying down a continuous ribbon of concrete across the entire American landscape. The highway system physically shortened the distance between regions. It allowed for the rapid movement of goods and people at a scale that had been impossible, creating the logistical backbone of the modern economy. Eventually, that need for connection moved from physical roads to digital ones. On June 29, 2007, Apple released the original iPhone, a device that consolidated a mobile phone, a media player, and an internet communicator into a single interface. Just as the interstate system centralized physical travel, the iPhone centralized digital access. It collapsed the distance between a person and the sum of human information, altering how we interact with the world and each other. Taken together, these events show that June 29th is a point where the governing patterns of history become visible. We see the iterative loop of our development. We build to the edge of our understanding, we analyze the resulting failures, we regulate to prevent their return, and we innovate to start the cycle again at a higher level. You live within the results of this cycle. The safety of the office building you work in, the speed of the roads you travel on, and the capabilities of the device in your pocket were all shaped by the collapses and breakthroughs of this timeline. Civilizations pivot on these specific 24-hour windows, where a single collapse or a single signature alters the conditions of tomorrow.